Hey, good day, everybody. I'm Steve Farrell with Humanities Team, coming to you live from our studio in Boulder, Colorado. As you can see, I'm here with Neale Donald Walsch, coming to you live from Ashland, Oregon. Neale, thank you for being here with me today.
It's lovely to be here with you, Steve. Thanks for asking me.
All righty, and we have a fantastic program in store for you. We're going to talk about conscious living, and we're going to actually be talking about action steps, practical things we can do and are doing in many cases. This is a conscious audience every day to live consciously, which creates an incredibly fruitful and prosperous life for ourselves, and guess what? You know, for the collective, creates this whole new way of living on the earth that's become paramount, really, in today's world. So now to viewers, I want to shout out to Neale Donald Walsch's friends and audience and Conversations with God folks, Humanities Team friends, John Raymer and the Sign Network. To all of you, a big shout out. Thank you for being with us here this morning. We've got this great program in store for you. It is a live program, so I want to invite you as early in this hour as you like to come in with comments and questions for Neale. We've got a little display here in the studio where we bring back comments and questions, so don't be shy. Be sure to throw questions at us. And if you're in the green room, you're a Humanity Stream Plus member, remember you can come on camera live too, so just put your hand up if you'd like to come on camera and talk with Neale here a little later in this program. Okay, let me give Neale a proper introduction. Neale Donald Walsch is the celebrated author of the Conversations with God series and a modern-day spiritual messenger. Neale is a longtime and dear friend of mine and Humanities Team. In fact, he's the co-founder of Humanities Team. I helped him launch it back in June 2003. Neale's books and teachings have served to help millions of people develop a modern sense of God and to build the connection between themselves and the divine. Today, Neale is joining me to discuss action steps to live consciously, where we will share tangible tools and practices that you can implement into your life today that will change your future and humanity's future. So, and again, thanks, Neale, for being here. Really looking forward to this discussion.
Well, thank you, Steve. I am as well.
All righty. So, conscious living, boy, this big pivot. It's happening right now. It's the media is not covering this, but you know, this is why you're watching this program now. And I'm sure you have friends and family, coworkers all over the world that are involved in this big pivot, right? To live consciously, where we're walking just straight out of the dysfunction and chaos and hand-wringing and darkness and so on that is a part of this time on this planet, where climate change and so many other things are worrisome to people. But there's a way out, there's a way to live that just remedies all of this, isn't there, Neale?
You know, I think I agree with you. Not only is there a way out, but there's actually a way in. I mean, a way into the true sense of who we really are. There's one question. When we talk about conscious living, often people say to me, Neale, you know, what exactly does that mean? You know, what do you mean by conscious living? And what I have come to understand is that conscious living is a way of moving through the days and nights of one's life with a deep awareness of who we are and why we're really here, with a deep sense of our purpose. I mean, as living entities, as being, as sentient beings in the cosmos. And my observation, Steve, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just simply an observation. I observe as I look around the world that a huge percentage of people are not really clear as they might be on those questions, on who we are, why are we here, and when I say here, I mean in physical form on the earth. Who are we? What is our true identity? And what is the larger purpose that we are serving in our life? So, because when I was Steve, it's hard to believe when I look back on it, but when I was a young man, I was living according to the cultural directives, I would say, or the cultural suggestions, you know, of what I was doing here and why I was here. What am I supposed to do? I was 22 years old and looking at the world around me, and I thought, okay, I know it's about get the car, get the girl, get the job, get the house, get the spouse, get the kids, get the better job, get the better car, get the better house, and all those things. Get your name on the door of your office so that everyone knows how important you are, and then maybe even get your name on the building so everyone knows how rich you are. And that was called success. Somewhere, Steve, around 48 years old, I realized, is that it? Is this really all there is? There must be more going on here than meets the eye. And that's when I really began my own journey to conscious living. And by conscious living, I mean being consciously aware, not only of who we are and why we're here, but of how that can change and impact my own life and the world around me and those whose lives I touch. So yeah, it's happening right now. Much larger numbers of people, many, many more than when I was 50. That was 30 years ago. And I'll be turning 79 here in just a few days. And that's almost 30 years ago that this whole experience began for me. But I'm seeing such a change, Steve, because of technology like this. Look at this, folks. Look at this. Could you imagine anything like this happening on your computer screen, or even having a computer screen, for that matter, when you were 30 years younger than you are now? Well, wherever that puts you on your chronological scale, whether you were 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, 30 years ago. Can you imagine this? So what's happening now is that we have the technology that can support the process by which we can reach hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people in ways we couldn't have dreamt of even 15 or 20 years ago. And that's why what Steve just said, the fact that we are seeing more and more and more people searching for and becoming aware of the need to experience ourselves as conscious beings, the need and the desire to live consciously. That's why it's expanding so rapidly on the earth. And that's why you now have a chance to play an important role. Years ago, I'm almost done. I didn't mean to give a talk. I didn't mean to give a speech, Steve, but you asked me a question that's really close to my heart. Years ago, when I was, as I said, 30 or 35 years younger than I am now, I thought, okay, this is all very lovely, but what role can I play? What could I possibly do as an individual? Today, the space is open for each of you, for all of you who are watching this program right now, to play an important role in helping all of humanity move to a place of conscious living. That's what we're going to be talking about, and that's what the Change Humanities movement is all about, that is being created by Humanities Team. Sorry.
Yeah, boy.
I'll try not to give 8-minute answers to 10-second questions.
That was perfect. So thank you. Take as long. That was beautiful. Thank you. And it really sets the table for our whole discussion. There is a Changing Humanities Future initiative. If you go to humanitiesteam.org, right there, front and center at the very top of the page, it says Changing Humanities Future. You can click on it. It describes the initiative. This is a joint undertaking between Humanities Team, Neale Donald Walsch, and the Conversations with God Foundation. And you can read all about the initiative as well. There's a button that says Action Steps. We're going to be talking about those today, but it goes even deeper there. You'll see the action steps, things that we can do to live consciously today. And then there's a Join the Initiative button as well. So I invite you to check that out. It's at humanitiesteam.org with a Y. So Neale, now I'm rereading your last Conversations with God book. It's Conversations with God Book 4, Awaken the Species. In fact, last night, the night before, I'm reading some every night, and it's beautiful. It brings in, you're asking these questions about the cosmos and other sentient beings that are what are called in the book highly evolved beings, and how life works for them, where there's a physical and metaphysical. There's so much discussion actually there between you, but it just describes how these highly evolved beings really get what prosperity is, what fruitful living really is. They've prioritized their life to the only things that are important, haven't they, Neale?
I don't think that prosperity is understood largely by the largest number of people. Yes, there are entities in the universe, I've been told, that we've called, for lack of a better description, highly evolved beings. And in the dialogue, that terminology is abbreviated as HEB, HEBs, highly evolved beings. And highly evolved beings exist throughout the cosmos. And there are many highly evolved beings right here on Earth. And they're telling us very clearly what true prosperity is about. It's not how much money you have in the bank. It's not how much success by worldly measurements you've achieved in your life. It doesn't mean you can't have those things. You can certainly have those things, but that's not the primary focus of what abundance is really about, what prosperity is really about. We prosper when we step into the largest, fullest, most magnificent expression of who we really are. When we experience within and project outside of us, project outwardly, this true sense of our real identity, then life becomes prosperous at every level. It becomes prosperous financially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. It becomes prosperous at every single level. We overflow, literally overflow with the goodness of life and all the good experiences that life has to offer us. I wouldn't have thought this. I got to tell you, when I was 45 years old, somebody had said these things to me, I would have said, yeah. But now, after my conversations with God experience and all that has occurred in the past 35 years of my life, I promise you that when we live from a conscious place of deep awareness of who we are and why we're here, all these other things fall in on us automatically. And we don't have to become inordinately wealthy. It's not about, I want to repeat so we're clear, we're not talking about having tons and tons of money. We are talking about having sufficiency in every area of our life. And we're talking as well about being fulfilled emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and in every way we could possibly imagine. How many people do you know are living a life like that? Not enough, not nearly enough on a percentage basis. And that's why the world is the way it is, because we have so many human beings who are simply unhappy. Frankly, my friends, they're simply unhappy. And I'm not talking about people who are living in desperate situations like in Ukraine and elsewhere where there are terrible things happening. That's horrible for sure. But it would amaze you how many people are living in apparently wonderful conditions, not in those situations at all, who are equally unhappy. Why are so many people around the world unhappy? And why is that unhappiness driving the engine of the human experience, which recreates itself and produces more and more unhappiness on the planet? So let me conclude my remarks about this question in this way. Have you noticed, my friends, I'm asking you a direct question. Have you noticed in the past 25 years more unhappiness or less unhappiness in the world around us? Surely, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, you've observed that more and more people and more segments of our society are unhappy with life and therefore with each other. And so we're seeing alienation, the likes of which I've never seen on the planet before. This is a critical moment in the evolution of our species. So I'm so glad that you have chosen to be here today.
Yes, me too. And it is such a, I think, we probably all agree here that this is the time to pivot, right? To out of something with these challenges, this dysfunction and so on, into something. And we're describing what we are sure this other thing is that we're pivoting to. We're calling it conscious living, though it goes by many names. Oneness, unity, consciousness, the new spirituality. There are many different terms we could use, but conscious living, where we're conscious, this is life by choice, not by chance, and it's where we're really deeply understanding ultimate reality. Where, as we know, scientists now are coming in. We've talked on this program before how Nassim Haramein with his unified field theory, even Bruce Lipton coming from biology, Greg Braden from geology, Lynn McTaggart from the research that she does, and many scientists actually all over the world, too many to name here now, that are affirming these spiritual truths, that everything is deeply interconnected, that it's entangled. Sometimes they use this term, but that we're all actually emanations of one thing. We're energy beings, of course. So we're just talking about what conscious living is where we're really seeing ultimate reality as it is, and then we're living into it. And the beautiful thing is when we do that, you just put aside for a second that we're going to create a world that is now sustainable and fulfilling, and that future generations have a nice life here. We are going to realize, as Neale was taking us through, the fruit of this, the real prosperity that's here, that's like way beyond this get the girl, get the office, all of this kind of stuff, that most of us, when I was a younger man, I lived into that too. I wanted to do good in the process, but I wanted to be successful. And as we become conscious, this is where real success comes in. I call it a boomerang effect thing, where we're just living into ultimate reality, into this oneness, where we put ourselves in service to the world. And then all of these good things come back to us as part of this process.
But the question that people ask me, Steve, everywhere I go is, okay, I get what you're saying. I hear all the words and they make sense to me. But how? How? I mean, in the various areas of life, how can we achieve that level of awareness, move ourselves to that place of consciousness? If only there was like a curriculum. Wouldn't it be neat if we had kind of a college of consciousness, or some place we could go, where there might be courses and classes on how to apply these ideas in all the meaningful areas of our life. And of course, there is no such place. There's nowhere in the world you can just get all these kinds of courses and classes, because they just don't exist. Unless
there
they
is.
do.
Yeah, unless they do. Yes. So, and they do. So part of the initiative actually is, of course, education is always at the center of social change. This is what Neale's bringing in. So where is there an education platform? Is there a conscious streaming platform that is aimed at this? And the answer is yes. So this is why you may know Humanity's Team, which Neale and I co-founded back in June 2003. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's a nonprofit. We're not going after the top line revenue growth and the profit growth. Nonprofits go the other way of, can we drop the price again? We can get it into this many more homes, which is what this Humanity Stream Plus platform is. It's a conscious streaming platform. There's a program, we were talking just before we came on air here, Neale and I. It was such a synchronicity, because even before we launched this program called Changing Humanity's Future, Neale and Michael Bernard Beckwith created a program focused on our soul's calling. Well, guess what? When this initiative, Changing Humanity's Future, is about, when you dig into it and get to action steps, which we're going to be talking about here during the hour, right in the center of the whole thing is following the impulse of our soul in every moment. And guess what? Masterclass does a better job of that than any that we have. Yes, this Soul's Purpose program that we created with Neale and Michael Bernard Beckwith just before launching this initiative. Let's go take a look here at one of the modules that Neale created, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about it.
Most people believe life works along the following lines, or by means of this general progression: have, do, be. Folks think that if they have a thing, more money, more time, more love, whatever, then they can finally do a thing. They can write a book, take up a hobby, go on a vacation, buy a home, enter a relationship. And that would allow them to be a thing: happy, peaceful, content, or in love. But this is a striking example of what I was referring to in an earlier class when I spoke about errors in our thinking. In actuality, most people, as they contemplate their lives, are reversing the have, do, be formula. I mean, they're reversing it. The formula is be, do, have, but they're calling it the have, do, be formula, paradigm. In the universe as it really is, as opposed to how we think it is, what I call havingness does not produce beingness, but it's actually the other way around. First, you must be the thing called happy, or peaceful, or content, or in love, or whatever. Then you start doing from that place of beingness. And soon you discover that what you're doing winds up bringing you the things you've always wanted to have. So the formula is be, do, have, not have, do, be. The way to set this creative process, and that's what it is, the process of personal creation, the way to set this creative process into motion is to have a look at what it is you want to have. Ask yourself what you think you would be if you had that. Then go straight to being. I mean, start there rather than trying to get there. In this way, you reverse the way you've been using the be, do, have paradigm. In actuality, you set it right. And you work with, rather than against, the creative power of the universe.
Okay, and apologies for the technical difficulties there at the beginning. Some of you couldn't hear that, so apologies. That's the thing about doing a live program, is you're going to have these little glitches, so I'm sorry about that. Such an important point there, though, this whole be, do, have paradigm, and thanks for walking that in, Neale. Such an important one in today's world in terms of how we can really, how we can look at this in our own life to really have the things and then do the things and then be the thing, to reverse this whole thing that we want to seem to always kind of get wrong, where we're waiting. We don't have it yet, so we're waiting. So very, very important point there. Let me just share, as Neale and I go down into this topic, Neale has 83 programs right now on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. 83 programs, you heard that right. Now, this one, Discover Your Soul's Purpose, this is one of the newest masterclasses. Neale Donald Walsch, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and the first module, there's 16, is opened up as a freebie. So invite you to go to the platform. We'll hopefully get on the screen here how you can find her. You can just go to humanitiesteam.org, scroll down a little, and then there's a whole promotion area where you can click on it. It'll take you to this conscious streaming platform called Humanity Stream Plus. And you'll see right there in the masterclasses, Discover Your Soul's Purpose. You can go in, and that first module is opened up for free. Check it out. It's invaluable. This whole aspect of really understanding our soul and how we can live in the impulse of our soul in every moment is beautifully discussed in this new masterclass. So, and there are many others, by the way. Right now, we're doing this program with Wayne Dyer's kids. I shouldn't call them kids. They're grown women, Serena Dyer and Sage Dyer, and also Karen Noe, who's the really talented medium that is actually bringing Wayne Dyer into the world, to his family. She wrote a book that Wayne asked her to write called We Consciousness, 33 Concepts. This is a program that we're just launching right now, and there are other incredible programs that we're launching. We've brought 32 new programs to this platform this year alone, in 2022 alone, 32 new programs. So this is a $399 subscription, and in the next, you get all of the hundreds of programs there now, and then all of the new programs that we're bringing to the platform in the next year. And there's a one-for-one program, so when you subscribe, you gift a free subscription to an underserved, underprivileged individual who couldn't afford this streaming platform at any price. So check it out, Humanity Stream Plus. So back to Neale and this program, Soul's Purpose program, such a powerful and timely program to be bringing into today's world, huh, Neale?
I think it's a program that really could change people's lives very, very quickly. As I mentioned a few moments ago, my own experience is that I had no idea what my purpose in life was until I was 48 or 49 years old. And the largest number of people on the planet, from my observation, are not clear as well. So yes, this program that Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, who's an extraordinary, by the way, just an extraordinary human being, who has a deep, rich understanding of life and its purpose, but not just life and its purpose, but how it works. See, what I love about Reverend Michael is that he gets into the hands-on area. He talks about how it works and how to make it functional in one's everyday life. So, I come from this little philosophical place, and Michael comes from this very practical place, and you bring the two together, and you have a dynamite, incredibly wonderful program. I can say it because I'm very proud of it, and I think that you would really, really immeasurably benefit from taking a look at that program, all about your soul's purpose. For instance, do we have a purpose? Does the soul really have a purpose? Is there such a thing as the agenda of the soul? Or are we just kind of like here, willy-nilly? We were born, here we are, we're making the best of it. Or is it something more sophisticated than that? Is it possible, just possible, that there's more going on here than meets the eye? Is in fact it true that the soul has an agenda, a reason for coming into the body, and a purpose that when it serves that agenda, it self-realizes and moves into the space of an evolved entity? Could that be true? Are we just, pie in the sky? Is it wishful thinking? I don't believe so. And I think our failure as a species to grasp these understandings is what's caused the world to be the way it is in this day and age. But as Steve has mentioned a number of times, all this can change. The game isn't over. This is not the end of it. This is really just the beginning. This is the perfect time. Conversations with God said, this is the perfect time for us to move rapidly forward in the evolution of our species and in our individual experience of our true selves. And what makes it a perfect time are all the conditions that exist, because these conditions give us an opportunity to step into the reality of healing, understanding, solving, resolving, and moving forward with the demonstration and the expression of who we really are. Folks, I'm not here to try to sell you something today. I promise you. It's not my intention to try to sell you something. It's my intention to open your heart and open your awareness to the opportunity. If you think you came to this program today by accident, think again. There are no accidents. Your soul heard about this program and said, hey, you know what? Just watch this. Take an hour or so out of your life and just listen to what these two gentlemen have to say and see if it speaks to you at a level of your soul that moves you forward in what you came here to really be, do, and have. It's my thought about it.
Yes,
that's
beautiful.
My idea.
Yes. So along these lines, then this Changing Humanity's Future. This is a global undertaking. So, or you could call it a movement. We've set an 18-year time frame. So by 2040, 18 years from now, to make conscious living pervasive worldwide, so that we have this glorious new world. And not that we're 100% there. Pervasive means it's not ubiquitous, but we're well on our way. We now
I can't even spell ubiquitous.
Right. Yes,
so clearly
join
it's
us.
not ubiquitous.
That's right. I can't either. I won't go there though. But join us. So go to the Changing Humanity's Future page. Go to humanitiesteam.org. Changing Humanity's Future. Click on the button. You'll see all of this description of the initiative. There's a join button. We give you actually a module to this Soul's Purpose Masterclass when you join this program. And then we're going to be inviting you to all of these live events, these Wednesday events where Neale is coming in, other events that Neale and the Conversations with God Foundation are doing, Humanity's Team is doing. We're starting here a week after next, a live program every Wednesday evening to bring everybody together that's part of changing humanity's future and to talk about these action steps. So, following the impulse of your soul, there are many action steps. And then bring people into the conversation, create community. So there are lots of things going on here. We see this as a true global undertaking, not anything less than that. So join us. Is there anything more important we could do in today's world where people so often feel, first of all, the things Neale shares, where maybe there's not even a total vision for what conscious living is. And then next, there's not a sense of that we can do anything in today's world that really matters, that counts, that's a remedy, that creates healing, where we can be an alchemist to walk out of this into a glorious new future. So we're not, as Neale shares, we're not here to sell you anything or market anything. We're here to invite you to something, which maybe is the biggest, most important invitation of your life. So I'm going to ask you a question now, Neale, as we go into action steps, but I want to first just acknowledge viewers. Thank you. We've got bunches of questions. So we're going to get to your questions here. One of them is from Naman Namin. He's a doctor based in Canada, and he has his own online transformational education program on the Humanity Stream platform. A really awesome program, Naman Namin. So I'll get to Naman's question here in just a second. So Neale, one of the action steps, this is actually mystical. This is a mystical teaching back through eons of time, but it's an important one, emphasized in the Conversations with God books, to listen to the still, quiet voice that is God guiding you from within. Can you talk a moment about that? Because I know, even as I talk to friends, people will sometimes say, I'm not sure, I'm getting that voice and I'm differentiating it from other voices and things. Oh, no, we lost Neale's audio.
Just having fun with you. I just wanted to make the producers go crazy. Here we go again. We've lost the audio again.
You wouldn't have wanted to see Jim's face here a second ago.
I couldn't resist. Gail, I couldn't resist. So okay.
Yeah, that's a still small voice, quiet voice.
It was perfect. Yeah, exactly. It was perfect with the question. Yeah. How could we hear the voice? And then you couldn't even hear my voice. Right. I had to do it. Right. It's a low hanging.
Too much fun.
Yeah. But it's true. Sometimes it can be a challenge for us to really hear that still small voice. But that doesn't mean that it's not speaking to us. I'm reliably told that which we call the divine, the higher power, God, in my language, God, is talking to us all the time, every single moment of our life, to us, in us, through us. But it's hard sometimes to hear that because the mind gets in the way. And the mind thinks that it knows what's going on in every area of your life, including when you hear that voice. If you're not careful, the mind will call it, that's just your imagination, or you're making it all up, or it's not really happening, or it's, so your mind will give you all sorts of reasons not to pay attention to that still small voice. Oh, and by the way, incidentally, that voice speaks to us in not just in words. We call it the voice, but it's a metaphor. The word voice is a metaphor, meaning the experience and the presence of the divine coming through us from within us. So that still small voice could actually be words, or it could be a vision. It could simply be an image, or it could be a feeling that comes through us. So listen carefully to that still small presence of the divine within you and don't dismiss it. It's easily dismissible unless it's not. My whole life changed. Folks, I wouldn't waste your time telling you this if I hadn't had the experience. Somewhere around the age of 49 or 50 years old, I stopped dismissing or ignoring or stopped failing to pay attention to the impulses verbally, visually, and emotionally that I was experiencing from within me moving through me. I stopped failing to pay attention. I began to pay attention. I paid such close attention that I actually wrote down much of what I understood myself to be hearing. And that produced, as you know, a series of books called Conversations with God. So yes, Steve is correct. It's not the easiest thing in the world to hear that voice because we've been culturalized. Our culture has told us, our religions have even, some of our religions have told us, don't you dare actually announce that God is talking directly to you. Our religions tell us that we can talk to God, of course. And if we say that we are talking to God, people say, I talk to God every day. They're called devout. They are devout believers because they're praying every day. So if you say, I talk to God every day, people will praise you. But if you say, God talks to me every day, if you're not careful, people might make you wrong for that. They might even call you a little bit odd, unusual, maybe even crazy. You think God talks to you every day? But in fact, it's a two-way communication, and it was intended to be a two-way communication from the beginning. It has always been a two-way communication. So yes, our culture tells us that it's not possible for that to happen, but our inner sense, our inner being, our inner knowing, and our innermost feeling proves to us that it is happening. Let me just give you one simple example, and then I'll stop talking about this. The moment that I laid eyes on a woman named M. Claire, she's just a lady that moves through my life. She came into my home. She was a guest in my home, brought to my home by somebody else. The moment I laid eyes on her, I knew, I had a feeling, I had an awareness. This person is the other half of me. This person I should be with for the rest of my life. Everything argued against it, but I nevertheless had that feeling. Where did that feeling come from? Somebody, it's called love at first sight. And what M. Claire said to me a few weeks later was that she had the same feeling. She walked into my house, took one look at me. It's not that I'm so incredibly handsome or charming. It's just, well, actually, I am incredibly handsome and charming. But it wasn't just that. She said she had an awareness. The minute she looked at me, you explain that to me. What's that all about? Have you ever experienced love at first sight? Have you ever been to a place where it feels like you've been there before? Have you ever met a person, a total stranger, and it feels like you've known them from before? These are the kinds of things we're talking about. Pay attention. Pay attention to those signals. That lady, by the way, who came into my house has been my wife for the past 15 years. We chose to be married after knowing each other a week. I said, 1 week. She simply looked at me across the front seat of the car. We were on a little date. We were going to go out and see a movie, a play, actually. It was a play. And she looked at me and she said, I think we're supposed to be married. And I looked at her and I said, you don't want to say that to me twice, because I think you're right. That was 15 blessed, glorious years ago. These are the kinds of things, not just in your relationship life, but in your career, in every area of your life, your parenting life, your expression, however you express life. These are the kinds of signals you want to pay attention to, because you're having your own conversation with God every minute of your life. You're simply calling it something else, calling it women's intuition, a stroke of genius, a sudden understanding, an epiphany, whatever word you can use. I call them conversations with God. So listen to what Steve is saying. Pay attention, because you're receiving that information all the time. And it's meant for your own blessed good and for the good of all those whose lives you touch.
Yes, which is what's so important. And I love that example, Neale, because as you were talking, the thing I was thinking about was, it's the way it's often said in Conversations with God books is to follow the impulse of your soul. So now we're using impulse and not conversation. And just like your example, this is kind of how it works in my life. It's a feeling, of I know what I'm supposed to do. It's clear. And then if I feel into the opposite, I know, no, there's even a pit in your stomach sometimes. So there's a clarity through a feeling that is this impulse of your soul, which is, and then as you mentioned, we want to just, because of our cultural norms of, oh, that's your intuition, that's not God. We just want to go throw all of these notions away that the one lives within us. There is no separation.
Especially if the message we're receiving seems impossible, especially if what we're feeling and understanding feels so out of the ordinary, so unusual that we call it, nah, it's impossible. That's impossible. It's too good to be true. I actually said to God at one point in my conversation, wow, what you're sending me, what you're telling me, what you're sharing with me seems too good to be true, too good to be true. And I'll never forget God's reply. She said, Neale, if God can't be too good to be true, who can?
Right. Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah, in the book, and so agreeing with it. Yeah, which is, we're going to get to questions here, but and then in the book, it gets into this discussion. This is why it's discarded. If that's too good to be true, I'm not going to do that. It's too good to be true. And discard it. Really? Why not try it? Live into it. This prosperity that we're describing, it's all right here. This is what it is. Conscious living is. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Nauman's question and then get to Hilda's. So again, this is Nauman Namin, who's a distinguished doctor, author, speaker himself, has his own program on Humanity Stream Plus. He says, can you comment on the roots of unhappiness and how this relates to the science of natural law?
I think that unhappiness is created by our misunderstanding of who we are. I think unhappiness is created by our misunderstanding of why we're here. I think our unhappiness is created by our misunderstanding of who and what some people call the higher power is. And I think our unhappiness is created by expectations that we have set for ourselves about how we're supposed to step into the cultural norm. So the first step in moving from unhappiness to happiness is to abandon the cultural norm. In other words, don't obey the rules and regulations. And I'm not talking about traffic signs or the laws of the laws of your country. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the cultural understandings about who we are and how we're supposed to be and who and what God is. Abandon the cultural teachings about all of that, and then pick up those that still continue to make sense, but set aside those that work against how you deeply feel inside of yourself. Then you will discover true happiness. Happiness is saying no to what doesn't make sense to your soul. Remember that I said that. I want you to write that in your bathroom mirror. I've never said that before in all the presentations I've given. That just popped through my mind. So write it on your bathroom mirror in magic marker. Happiness is saying no to what doesn't make sense to your soul.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, which again is just that's following the impulse of your soul. Where that there's a feeling there. So somebody's commenting on the action steps. We've talked about a few. Neale, you sent out an email just this morning with an action step where you were talking about when you're teaching another, it's the fastest way to evolve yourself. I saw that email. What a fantastic! This is one of the action steps, isn't it?
Yes, I would. I asked God, give me some ways, give me some steps, things I can do, steps I can take to move into the full expression of who I am and the true purpose of life itself. And she said, Neale, it's really very simple. Simply be the source. Stop being the seeker. We don't need you to be the seeker. What you are seeking already exists within you. So move on the playing board of life, if we could use another metaphor, Move on the playing board of life from the square that says, I seek, to the square that says, I source. I am the source of that which I was seeking. And how I experience that is by giving to another what it is I wish to experience in my own life. If I want more financial abundance, cause another person to have more financial abundance. And that doesn't mean you have to give away thousands and thousands of dollars. You're walking down the street, you'll find a person on the sidewalk to whom a $1 bill or a $5 bill can make an enormous difference in their life. I promise you, I was there, so I know what I'm talking about. So if you want more abundance in your life, cause someone else to be more financially abundant. If you want more companionship in your life, cause someone else to be more companion in their life. If you want more humor in your life, cause someone else to experience more humor in their life. If you want more wisdom and clarity and understanding of the divine in your life, cause another to have more wisdom, clarity, and understanding of the divine in their life. We were told, by the way, this is not a new thought, a new age metaphysical teaching. We were told this thousands of years ago by an interesting gentleman who walked around the earth saying interesting things. And one of the things he said was, do unto others as you would have it done unto you. It's the same thing I just said. What you want done unto you, do unto others. It's more than just a golden rule. It's not simply an aphorism. It's the instructions that came with the box. You open the box called life, and there are the instructions right in there. Do unto others as you would have it done unto you.
Oh man, doesn't get simpler than that. Yeah, boy, thank you. That was perfect. I'll share one more action step here, and then we're going to go to more questions. So this is one of the most key messages, actually, in many of Neale's books, including that last Conversations with God book, which is book 4, Awaken the Species, and it says to share both your struggles and your process on the path to full awakening, openly and authentically with those whose lives you touch. So your struggles and your process, so which I think is so beautiful, that because it's not one, it's not true, and two, it's not approachable, where it's described as some walking on water thing for all of us, or most of us. There are things that we probably are well in hand, and there are other things we'd say we're working on. What a beautiful way to live consciously, huh, Neale?
If you love someone else, share with them the struggles you're having in your life. To be that vulnerable is another way of saying, I love you so much. I feel so safe with you that I can tell you what feels unsafe to me. I can tell you of my struggles. And you know what's amazing about that? In my life, as I've shared with others the struggles that I've had, every so often someone else across the room will say, wow, I have an insight that might be useful to you. And suddenly I realized that it was about more than just sharing with someone else. It was about hearing from someone else exactly what I needed to hear at exactly that moment in time. But I would have robbed myself of the opportunity if I simply kept it all in and didn't say anything to anyone. So yes, I was told in Conversations with God, share your process. And not just the positive, good part of it, but the struggles and the challenges you're having. Share all of it with everyone whose life you touch. Be an open book and watch what comes to you as a result. Watch how people come to trust you as well and to look to you as well for insights that you may have to offer. So let it be a two-way street. It's called love.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, it is. Love. Boy, and that's, if you're going to distill life down to one word, there it is. So this is from Elisa. She says, this is a comment. She says, I've been inhaling Neale's books, Conversations with God, Happier Than God, What God Wants, and have just now finished When Everything Changes, Change Everything. So much resonation. So that's just a shout out and thank you to you, Neale. And then Hilda, who's in this green room with us, she's sharing in Neale's book 1, chapter 13, he talks about all illness is self-created. And Hilda asked if you could explain that, Neale.
Well, I think that the statement speaks for itself, but to elaborate, when things are dysfunctional in our life, whether it's a physical dysfunction relating to our physical health or some kind of a mental dysfunction, an idea that we have that's not really totally true and that doesn't work when we put it into practice, whatever it might be, it almost always comes from some idea that we have held that we're putting into the space. So I'm told that even our illnesses or challenges that our body faces are created by a thought, a fear, or an understanding that we have. Now, that says that somehow we are less than physically perfect and physically healthy. Now, I want to make a really important statement here about that. If we think that we are, if we hold the positive thought, I am physically healthy, and I am physically perfect, and I am physically in a really good space, that doesn't mean that we might not, to use a simple example, need glasses, just to use an example. My eyes are not perfect in the sense that without these, I don't read so well. So I have to wear these in order to read what's on the piece of paper. And what's on the piece of paper says, Neale, remember to wear your glasses or you wouldn't be able to read this. So I want to make something very clear. When we hold the idea of ourselves that the way things are with us is perfect, that doesn't mean that you'll never have an illness, you'll never catch a cold, or you'll never have anything going wrong with your body. Guys, I had open heart surgery 6 years ago. We're talking about a quintuple bypass. We're not. I didn't get my tonsils out. I didn't get my eyes examined. I had an open heart surgery. Does that mean that I created that? Yes. Yes, I did. See, I deny nothing that's happening to me. I don't say, the devil made me do it, or something. But I don't make myself wrong for it. So don't curse yourself or make yourself wrong. Don't go around saying, why would I do that? Why would I create that in me? Allow yourself to just notice that, yes, Neale created his own open heart surgery and the need for it, for the benefit that it brought him, a deeper, richer understanding of who he is and what his body is all about, and many, many different aspects of life. I've learned more since having a quintuple bypass about my body's function and about who I am on this planet than I could possibly tell you. I'm told in the book, When Everything Changes, Change Everything, that everything that occurs in our life occurs for our benefit. That's what's meant by the statement that Steve just asked me about. Yes, we are creating everything in our life, including our illnesses and our joys and our successes, and the healthy part of us as well. We are creating all of it as part of a process by which we become, announce, declare, express, and fulfill who we really are. So my bottom line on this, we say to God, thank you for all of it. Thank you. Thank you, God. And when we can even say, thank you, God, for our departure. Thank you, God, for the day when we celebrate our continuation day. When we can get to that place, then we have truly healed every false thought about who we are and why we're here.
Yes.
I could, of course, be wrong about all of this. But I don't think so.
Right. Don't think so. Yeah, and then so this whole notion of victims and villains gone. There are no victims, there are no villains. It's coming back to us, like you say, with all the beautiful things that we're describing conscious living with all these incredible things that are Neale's life and my life, the Humanities Team, Conversations with God Foundation. This is the beautiful thing is we can and we are pivoting right now. So the media is not reporting on this. There's a lot of things in the media that aren't very pleasant, but there's a lot of good happening in the world. We are pivoting to a whole new way of living on the earth. And that's what this whole program today is about, changing humanity's future, where we're living consciously and we're pivoting together and we're forming community and we're creating a global undertaking. And we're saying, in 18 years, let's get there. And where Neale was saying, you're here. You invited yourself here. You are a leader of this. This is what you're being invited to with your friends and family and coworkers, and where we're all sharing, truthfully, authentically, of our conscious journey. I mean, is there a more beautiful way to live our life than this?
And what I just said is a perfect example of what we were talking about a few minutes ago, Steve. What I just said was, everything that's occurring, has ever occurred and ever will occur in your life, has occurred in ways that bring you benefit. Now, that's a tough one for us to understand when we look at some of the things that have happened in the lives of us and other people around the world, people who are in war zones and so forth. We say, oh, Neale, come on. How can that be true? It's too good to be true. It's a perfect example of what I said 20 minutes ago. We don't believe some of this stuff because it's too good to be true. Only when we get to I want to call it the other side, forgive me, but speaking metaphorically, only when we get to the other side, when we do the thing called Celebrate Our Continuation Day, will we see, oh, I see how even that brought benefit to me and to the world. And if we can't understand it, if we can't understand how, Neale, I've been, in a sense, crucified in this life with all the things that have happened to me. All we have to do is look at the lives of others who have been crucified in real terms. Would we say about the man called Jesus, gosh, that crucifixion didn't benefit anybody. He was a victim. Or maybe he wasn't a victim. Maybe he understood something that we have not understood, that all things that occur for a blessed reason. Wow. Could that be true?
Yeah. No kidding.
When we come from a place where we say it's true, when we come from a place of gratitude, we spill that gratitude. It's energetic. We cover the events of our life with that energetic, which very often can transform the exterior events in such a way that we suddenly see and experience the benefit in our present moment. That's how I felt when I had my open heart surgery. I recall being wheeled into the operating room, and I wasn't put out yet. They put you under when they get you in there. But as they're wheeling me in, I remember, and this is the truth, I'm not making this up, I was saying to God as I was being wheeled into the operating room, thank you, God, for however this turns out. If I live through this operation or if I don't, and if I die as a result of this procedure, thank you either way for this wonderful opportunity to experience who I really am again. Wow. And then you spill that energetic of gratitude on what's happening exteriorly, and you tell me that kind of thinking doesn't have anything to do with the fact that my doctor came to when I came to after the operation. He said, man, you came through that quintuple bypass with flying colors, and you just bought yourself 10 years. Here I am, years later. Thank you, God.
Very inspiring. Yeah, thank you, Neale. So I'll read a few comments, and then we're at the end of our hour. So Elisa says, Neale, you imp, you gave us all a jolt. Geez. Love your wife's poetry too, so you might know. It sounds like Elisa might be a friend of yours. And then David says, love the magic of this conversation. Happiness is saying no to what does not make sense to your soul. So thank you, Elisa and David, for that. So thank you, viewers. Thank you, Neale. We're at the end of our hour. What a fantastic conversation it's been. You can go to changinghumanitiesfuture.org. You can just go straight to changinghumanitiesfuture.org, and you can read all about this initiative. It's a global undertaking. We're inviting you. Come in, join us, be a leader in this. Let's help us to, in 18 years, make conscious living pervasive worldwide. What an incredible invitation for us individually and for us collectively. And Timothy Noah, again, starting the week after next, is going to be doing a group meeting on Wednesday evenings where we bring us all together and talk about the journey that we're on and our destination and things that we can do together to get from here to there. Okay, so thank you, Neale Donald Walsch, my special guest today. Thank you, viewers, for being here with us. I want to just bring the camera back because I want to thank also my partners and colleagues here in the humanities team. I'm on the couch here. You can see that's Jim Gray, who's a director of the program here. Thank you, Jim. Also, Karen Gordon, who leads the communications team, Dee Meyer, Nanette Kennedy, Garth Catterall. Thank you to all of my partners and colleagues that make this program possible. Neale will be back with us again soon. We've got an 18-year journey, as we shared earlier this year. We've laced up our sneakers and we're running, and invite you to run with us. Let's do this together. Okay, thanks everybody. Love and peace and blessings. Be back with you next week.